Hello, seventh graders. Today, we're going to learn about forensic entomology, which is the study of insects. The purpose of today's lesson is to obtain information on the basics of entomology and explain what investigators can learn from insects around a dead body. So, first things first, a forensic entomologist applies their knowledge of entomology to provide information for criminal investigators. So basically, they are experts on insects and their development. Their job may include having to identify insects at various stages of their life cycle, such as eggs, larvae, and adults. You can think of larvae as baby insects. They collect and preserve insects as evidence. They determine an estimate for the post-mortem interval, or PMI, which means the time between the death and discovery of body. So basically, how long a dead body has been there. They use factors such as insects that are there, the weather conditions, the location, and the condition of the body. And then they testify in court to explain insect-related evidence because they are experts on insects. So they talk in court. Maggots can be used to test a corpse for the presence of poisons or drugs. Forensic entomologists use their knowledge of insects and their life cycles and behaviors to give them clues about a crime. So most insects used in investigations are from these two major orders. They are either flies or beetles. There are some other insects that show up, but these are the two main ones. And what they do is they look at the succession of the species or the order in which they show up. They can provide clues for investigators as to how long the body has been lying there. So some species prefer to feed on a fresh corpse, while other species prefer to feed on one that has been dead for 2 weeks or more. Investigators will also find other insect species that prey on the insects feeding on the corpse. So a lot of insects are involved here. Generally, flies are one of the first things to show up. So if the body is fresh or recently deceased, there should be some flies around the body. Insects such as beetles will show up much later. If you see mites around the dead body, it has been there for at least 6 months. So weather data is also an important tool in analyzing insect evidence from a corpse. Weather can greatly affect the deterioration of a body or the insects that show up. They will take note of the temperature of the air, ground, surface, the interface area between the body and the ground, and the soil under the body, as well as the temperature inside any maggots. They will also collect weather data related to daily temperature, the highs and lows, and precipitation, or how much rain has fallen for a period of time. All of these things affect the estimate of the time the body has been there. So they consider, was the body enclosed in an area or wrapped in material that would have prevented flies from finding the corpse or laying eggs? So blowflies are especially common insect that show up around dead bodies, and understanding their life cycle can help to determine the amount of time a body has been there. The complete life cycle of a fly consists of an egg, larva, pupa, and adult stages. The first thing that happens is an adult fly lays eggs on the carcass, especially around wounds or openings in the body. The eggs then hatch into larvae. This happens within 12 to 24 hours. So if you can see larvae, the body has been there for at least 12 hours. And then the larvae have 3 different stages. They continue to grow and molt or shed their exoskeletons as they pass through the various instar stages. And this is just the different stages in which the larva grows. It starts out small, gets a little bigger, and then a little bigger. When it's at its largest size, between 14 and 16 millimeters long, you can know that the body has possibly been there between 4 and 5 days. And then the larva develops into a pupa after burrowing in surrounding soil around the body. So around here, the insect is kind of like a baby, then it's like a teenager, and then the final stage, it becomes an adult after 6 to 8 days. So if you are seeing adult flies beginning to emerge and you can see the molted pupa shells, you know the body has possibly been there for a week. Here are some insects that show up during early stages of decomposition or death or just after death. And these types of flies will show up much later. Here are some beetles that show up at various stages. The carrion beetles show up during early stages just after death. Early to late stages, you will see clown beetles, rove beetles, and then you know the body has been there for a long time if you can see ham and checkered beetles, skin beetles, or these other beetles here. And now you can go into Google Classroom and complete the assignment in which you are investigating a dead body and trying to figure out how long it has been there based on the insects present.